guys, welcome to the video. Today I'm going to be showing you my entire eyeshadow palette collection that I have been doing since I think 2019, where at the very end of the year I'll kind of update you on the palettes that I have in my collection, and I will have all the videos that I've done in the past linked below. It's just a way for me to see my collection in the past and where I'm at a year later. So if you're into these types of videos for me, then definitely give this video a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, it would mean so much, and let's go ahead and get started. So if any of these palettes that you see in this video are your favorite, let me know in the comments if there's any that you've been really wanting to try, or if some that you just do not like. Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments. So all of these palettes are in no particular order. I've just kind of pulled them out of my collection. I've shoved some up here. I still have some behind me. So we're going to talk about them, and I'm going to give you kind of my thoughts on them as I go, because I don't want this to be a super long video, but I do want to give my thoughts on some of these palettes. So first one, we're just going to pull this one because it's on top. This is the Moonspell Volume 2 palette from Lunar Beauty. Packaging is 10 out of 10. Absolutely stunning. I'm actually wearing my Ouija sweatshirt that has an Ouija board on the back, which you couldn't see, but this palette is really pretty. It's definitely very colorful, something that I don't ever reach for, but I do like these more purple shades here, and some of this like this, and then the shimmer. So when I want to use a color, I have it, because definitely for like Valentine's Day and stuff, and like for February I like more purpley pinks, so I know I'm gonna bust this out. Then very cute palette. I did get sent a mystery box and Manny saw it, which was so amazing. So yeah, it holds a special place in my heart for sure. So I'm just gonna set this back here so I can put them up later. Next up we have a palette from Alter Ego. They actually reached out to me and sent me several of their palettes and a bunch of their liquid lips. This is the only palette that I have tried so far. It's the Harmony palette that recently launched a few months ago, and this palette is actually so pretty. This is one that I didn't expect to actually like the color story so much on my eyes, because it's just not the tones that I go for, but I guess I'm growing up and maturing, because this was actually really good, and I cannot wait to try out the other palettes from Alter Ego. So thank you, Alter Ego, for sending this to me, and I can't wait to try out the other palettes because I just recently got them like 3 weeks ago or something. So very excited to keep using these, and I really liked this. This was actually really good. These are supposed to be dupes for like Natasha Denona, but this was really good. Very surprised, and yeah, you guys should try Alter Ego. Next up I have this palette from Pop Beauty. This was also sent to me. This is the Pretty Punk palette. I wouldn't say it's like, you know, a luxury brand quality or anything. I did wish that it performs a little bit better than it does. The glitter I was excited about in this palette, but they're not that good either. Overall, it's not like the best quality palette in the world. I do have to say that their highlighters are becoming one of my favorites, so that's a good thing. But the palette, on the other hand, I'm not really sure I like the quality of the shadows. So I have a feeling a year from now this probably won't be in my collection. But thank you though, Pop Beauty, for sending this to me. I just didn't personally like this one so much. Okay, another palette from Alter Ego. This is the Luster palette. I'm not sure which palette this is supposed to mimic, but it's gorgeous, and I especially love this shade here, and I cannot wait to wear this and all of that, which I'm going to be doing my everyday makeup drawer like monthly whatever, so I'm definitely going to get a lot of use out of eyeshadow products and all the other things. So when I use this, I'll definitely update you, but it is gorgeous. And clearly, since I rocked that other eyeshadow palette, I have a feeling this one is going to be another one that I'm going to love. This next one took me by surprise. This is from Sigma. This is the Ambiance palette. This was also sent to me. This, I thought, you know, I've been so much into cool tones, but this one surprised me and I fell in love, and I've used this one several times this year. It took me a while to be like, okay, let me pick this palette up and try it finally, and when I did, I kept using it over and over again. The shimmers are amazing. I haven't used every shade yet in this palette, but the ones that I have used, I've created really good looks, so I am very happy to continue using this in the future. So love it, love it. And I'm actually looking forward to using more Sigma in the future. Next up, we have the Too Faced Pumpkin Spice Second Slice eyeshadow palette. I did a review on this. I do a review on their holiday palettes every year, and this is one that somehow has still managed to stay in my collection. Every palette that I've tried in the past have always been so good, but I always declutter it because it's just not something I would use for like every day. However, this one really speaks to me, and I love certain shades in here that I don't have in my collection anywhere else. So that's why it's still staying in my collection, because I normally don't go for something super colorful on the daily, but this is still like a really good palette and it has a few shades that I definitely want to hold on to. So will this still be in my collection at the end of the year? I don't know, but for now it is definitely staying. This next palette I'm currently wearing on my eyes right now. This is from Lime Crime. It's the Venus XL2 palette. Lime Crime did send this to me and it is absolutely gorgeous. This is the first time that I'm using this palette. Sorry it's so reflective that you can't really see the shades that well because it's so reflective, but it's very foresty, natural, earthy, and I really was drawn to the colors. Like I used Obscure, I used Myth, I used Eve, I used Crown, I've used Sage, Ripe, Thorn, Ivy. This is such a cute palette. Definitely fits all the vibes of just down to earth, okay? This is a great palette, and thank you, Lime Crime, for thinking of me and sending that to me. Next up, we have a palette from ABH. This is like the last ABH palette that I have in my collection. I used to have like literally every one, and I was just like, why? So this is Carly Bible, and I don't know why I still have it in my collection because it's so old. I bought this forever ago, like when it launched, I think. I don't know. I did use it quite a lot. I do have some dents over here. Not so much over here, but over here. And I did use this year, but the problem is that the quality of the shadow is not the same as when I purchased this, which I think this launched in like 2019 or something. So that's why after using it recently, I'm like, okay, well, I can definitely declutter this soon because the quality is just not the same anymore. But it really hurts my heart decluttering it because I don't know what it is about this palette, but it really just like has its teeth sunk into me and I don't want to get rid of it, but it's also so old that it's like, why do I still have this? You know, I can't use it. When I did use it, it didn't come out good at all because it was just a hot mess. So I'm insane. That's pretty much the end of that, is that I'm just insane. Okay, so this is the Natasha Denona Glam Face Palette. So it's technically like I would call it a face palette, but since there are eyeshadows in here, I wanted to talk about it because I use it for the eyeshadows more than the products down here. This is one that I really like to go to for a neutral look that's not necessarily cool tone, and I absolutely love the transition shade in here, the crease shade, and the inner corner shade. I use this one quite a lot when I am using the Glam palette. I just kind of like to go back and forth. The highlighter and blush are really pretty too, but I use this mostly for the shadows. So they have this one and then the darker version, which I think I remember seeing the darker version on sale and not the light one. I don't know what that was about, but I still recommend it. It's kind of a good one-note travel-friendly kind of palette, but yeah, let's move on. This is my #1 most used palette, best palette ever. This is Give by Gwen Stefani. This is A Simple Kind of Life. It's super boring, and I'm definitely going to hit pan on this year. I know it for a fact, and this is also in my project pan. I want to hit pan on stuff video. This was in there. This is great. So Love this palette. Next up, this was also in that video. This is the Kylie Cosmetics like Under the Sea palette from years ago. I love this palette. I'm definitely gonna use it as much as I can this year and throw it away because it is getting pretty old, but it has some of the best neutral shadows in here that just complement me so well, and I want to get as much use out of this palette as possible, and then I'll feel fulfilled that I paid money for this, you know what I mean? Great palette though, not complaining. Another palette that I was actually surprised by, because I've always been so anti-Morphe because I have tried palettes in the past and thought, oh my gosh, this is garbage, I'm never buying it again. Well, I got sucked in buying a holiday palette in 2021. I got a couple and I got this too. This is the Morphe Calm Me Baby 9B palette. And I love this. The quality of these shadows somehow, even them being like pigments that are really hard to do, it's just really good. I love this so much, and it's such a good palette, and I cannot wait to bring this back out in my collection in February for, like, you know, Valentine's Day looks and spring looks and stuff. This is a good palette. I use palettes based off of the season, so yeah. Can't wait to pull this baby back out. So I used to own a lot, and I mean a lot of Huda Beauty palettes. All the big ones, tons of the Obsessions, all the neons, the pastels, everything. This is the Nude Light, and it's absolutely amazing, and I used it a few times this year, not as much as I should have, but I just really was going for like the same look all year long because I'm insane. But this is still such a good palette. I used it a few times this year. I used it, I think, within the last 2 months as well, and it still holds up. It's still so good, and so for that I am definitely keeping it in my collection. It's so good, and I can't wait to get more use out of it this year. I also have this palette from ColourPop. This is the Go and Coconuts palette. I used this also this year, but there's like a broken one in here that sucks. My best friend Caitlin got this for me when it launched, and this also has amazing cool tone nude shades in here, and I just love the Cocoa Crush here in the middle, so I dab in this one quite often actually. It doesn't really appear that I have, but I know I have for sure for a couple of these shades, so yeah, this is a good one. I don't even know if this is still available, but if it is and you like cool tone like nude shades, then definitely go pick that up. Another palette is the Kylie Nightmare on Elm Street. This is one that a lot of people hated because the formula is like really dry, which I totally get, but I like her formula like that, and it's easy to work with for me. And again, she just has these nude shades that work so well and complement me so well. There's obviously a couple shades that I've never used in this palette because I mostly was drawn towards the neutral shades, and they're really great. And the packaging and everything about it, I just don't see myself getting rid of even when it's expired. I don't know, there's just something about this palette that just makes my little heart happy. So yeah, and I keep it in the packaging because I just love this packaging so much. Something about blood and guts just gets me going, you know? Okay, this is another palette that I've kept in here. This is the ColourPop Gather Around Sisters. This is like the OG palette that launched, and somehow I got my hands on it when it sold out super fast, and I had a giveaway, and I was supposed to have like 3 people win, but only 2 because my palette came broken, and so they didn't have any other palettes in stock, and it was a whole thing, but I haven't used it. I haven't used it in such a long time, not since pretty much I used it for like the one video that I did years ago, but something about it, I just want to keep it. I look at the shades and I'm like, oh my gosh, I could totally use this, and then I just don't. So I definitely need to try and use this year. If I don't wind up using it at all this year, I'm gonna have to declutter it because it's just old and it's broken, and what good is it doing in my collection if I'm not even using it? Which you can't, I know you're mocking me because I'm like, I'm keeping this palette no matter what, but you know, it is what it is. I am a little shocked at myself for even still having the palette that I'm about to show you in my possession. This is so old. It's one of those palettes that's just so beautiful, and like I thought one day when I get married, this is going to be my bridal palette. This is the Lorac Pro 3 palette. It's gorgeous. I don't know how I still have this in my collection. I should repurchase this. It's gorgeous. I love this palette. I traveled with this when I went to Universal Studios last year, and that's when I realized, wow, this is old and it doesn't perform the same. I traveled with this in 2019 to go to Oregon. We've had some good times, but she's really old. It's just so sentimental to me. It's gorgeous. I'm gonna have to declutter this soon when I do a declutter series. Like, it cannot be in my collection anymore because it's just so old. Anyways, next up we have this palette from Stila, which I'm gonna talk about in a future video about makeup brands that are just boring now. So stay tuned for that. This palette I love specifically for this shade here, this shade, and this and this. I really haven't used it for any of the other shades. I know the glitters are super pretty, but they also have a lot of fallout. So I think I'm going to try it a few times this year and, you know, see my thoughts on it. And if I don't feel the need to keep it, then I'm probably going to declutter it from my collection. But it's like the only Stila product that I have pretty much in my collection now. So like, you know, I don't know. Next up, Life's a Drag. I spoke on this. Definitely gonna hit pan, and when I do, I will feel fulfilled and I'll buy the facelift palette, which is the updated version of this because it's no longer available. So there's the backstory on that. Then we have another one of my most used palettes, Natasha Denona Glam Palette. It's every cool tone glam girl's dream, okay? I love this palette. Definitely gonna hit pan on a few shades this year. Love this palette. Ride or Die. So good. Then I have this palette from Alter Ego. Again, they just sent these to me. This is a Natasha Denona dupe. I forget which palette it is, but somehow, even though these are my tones, I'm very drawn towards this section over here, and I really want to do a look, and I haven't like really swatched, actually I haven't swatched any of these, but this section here looks absolutely phenomenally amazing, and so does this section over here. So I cannot wait to try this out. Cannot wait. And then we also have this one here from Alter Ego, the Shadow Kiss. I feel like this is the dupe for the Natasha Denona Glam palette because it's very similar. I'm gonna have to like look it up and see which palettes are supposed to be dupes for what, but this kind of looks like it, or maybe even the bronze palette, or a little bit of both. But yeah, I'm really excited about this one because the quality in the Harmony palette, if it's anything like that, that's gonna be a new Ride or Die palette. And then I have the bronze palette from Nova Beauty. I did play around with this and it's actually not too bad. I just don't prefer the shimmers so much. They don't pack too much of a punch unless you like, you know, spritz your brush and all of that. But yeah, we have this. And then let me pull more palettes. Okay, so I have this little palette from Dior. This was sent to me from Dior, so thank you so much, Dior. I got to work with them twice. Like, what an honor. So this is the $4.69 palette. I don't know. This was like a limited edition palette, so you can't get it again. But this is absolutely gorgeous. The nude shades in here, absolutely gorgeous. So thank you, Dior, for sending this to me. They also sent me this one, which is, I guess, number 739. And this one is also super gorgeous, like a cool toned purple. Love it, love it. I recently used this one too. And then we have two Kylie palettes. These were for holiday of 2020, I think. And I actually do like these and use them. This is the more cool tone purple. Love it so much. And then we have the like more warm tone neutrals. Again, I just love her neutral shadows. They work so well for me. So I have these. Then I have the Rose Quartz from Huda Beauty. Probably my most favorite Huda Beauty palette, and I've had them all. I've decluttered all of them except for 3, which you've seen now 2. This palette is another cool tone dream, but like purple. Ugh, it's so good. I love this palette. I think I even didn't do like look reviews on this because I just couldn't handle myself. This is such a good palette. Cannot wait to bust this out in February, because again, I'm one of those people, I just love to base my eyeshadow off of the season, which you can't ever go wrong with neutral, but whatever. And then I have my OG Jaclyn Hill palette from 2017, very first launch, sat in virtual line for 44 minutes or so. I just can't see myself getting rid of it because it's like my first purchase, my first eyeshadow purchase, and for that reason I just can't get rid of it. And it was such a good palette. I just can't get rid of it. Don't judge me as I throw it back there. And then I have this palette from Morphe, the 35X Big Primpin palette. This was the one that I purchased and I was like, wow, Morphe really stepped it up here and somehow created really good shades. I have used quite a lot of these colors and I cannot wait to bust this out again, but I couldn't believe how good of a palette this was, because usually their quality of eyeshadow is just like really horrible, and this one brought me back to life and was like trying ColourPop palettes again. Not ColourPop, Morphe. Trying Morphe palettes again. So yeah. And then I have this palette. It's called True Nude from like Element or something. I got it in a subscription box and I was like, wait a minute. This reminds me of like KKW Beauty, so I wanted to try it. I haven't tried it yet. I recently got it. So I actually want to try it, even though it's like some rando brand that I've never heard of. I'll try the palette. I'll see what's up, okay? And then we have this palette from KKW Beauty. It's their camo palette. The palette before the brand went bye-bye. Such a good palette. Absolutely love. Ride or die. So many of you bought this palette because of me and love it. So I feel super fulfilled that way. And then I have this palette from Estate Cosmetics, which is the brand that did a Bailey Sarian collab. And this has mushrooms on it, Hidden Garden. And I really like the tones of this palette. And I recently got this as well, so I want to try it. And then my other favorite Huda Beauty palette, which was on sale for the longest time. Like, why are they getting rid of them and not coming back? It's the Mercury Retrograde. This is such a gorgeous palette. Another cool tone dream palette, but with like, you know, a little bit more color, like blue and purple and pink and some neutral in there. This is such a good palette. Love it so much. We're getting so close to being done. We have the Michaela Glam Light palette. Don't even get me started on her. Not a fan. Sometimes YouTubers just know things behind the scenes, and Michaela is not it. So anyways, reflecting off of Glam Light quality, this is such a good palette. I love it for color, and I wore it a lot and you guys were like, oh my god, what is that? When I was going through and doing a ton of like really cool eyeshadow looks, I was using this, and yeah, this is a great palette, Glam Light. Thank you. This palette I was wearing in my last Jeffree Star video that I did and my Ipsy spoiler video, and you guys are like, what eyeshadow are you wearing? It's so pretty. It's this Stone Cold Fox from ColourPop. Probably the best ColourPop palette I've ever owned. Cool Tone Dream. Can you see a theme here? We love cool tones. Yeah, I love this palette so much. It's so good. Go buy it. Thank me later. And then I have the Smoky palette from Nova Beauty. This one was actually really good. So yeah, we love this one. I'm a Nova Beauty Fashion Nova partner or whatever, so that's why I have a lot of Nova Beauty in my collection if you haven't noticed. And they did send that to me. Thank you so much. Love you so much. And the palettes that I got from like Ipsy and stuff, they sent me as well. I'm starting to realize that most of my collection I didn't even pay for. Am I really that person now? Okay, anyways, Lime Crime. This is the Venus Immortalis palette, which Lime Crime sent to me. I haven't tried it out yet, but it is pretty, and I love these tones, so I cannot wait to try this out. Okay, now we're gonna quickly go over these here. I got this little e.l.f. palette, which was sent to me by e.l.f. And then I have these 3 Hard Candy palettes, which Hard Candy sent me that I haven't tried out yet. I'm actually really looking forward to these because they're really pretty. So thank you, Hard Candy, for sending these to me. They recently sent them to me. I have this e.l.f. Mint Melt palette that they sent me, and then I got this one from my friend Noelle, and then I have 2 Ofra palettes, which both of them were sent to me from Ofra. You can use code Connor for 20% off your purchase. Love Ofra so much. And then this is what this looks like. Super pretty. This is the Symphony palette. And then I have here the Sweet Dreams palette. Super cute. So that is, I believe, yes, my full eyeshadow palette collection, which is insane because I think this is more eyeshadow than I started out with last year. I'm very much a very heavy hardcore declutterer when it comes to eyeshadow and stuff, so the fact that I have this much in my collection right now is insane to me. There was a time when I had like over 100 palettes, which back then I was like, I got over 100 palettes, but now I'm like, that's stupid. Why would you have that many palettes? You're never going to use them all. So let me know down below what your favorite palette is. Have you tried any of these? Are there any you want to try? All of that jazz, let me know down below. Thank you guys so much for being here and watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!